Welcome back, everyone, to Web3 Weekly, the most relatable and reliable Web3, crypto, and decentralized technology podcast in the nation. In today's episode, I am blessed to be joined with DrDoge, or the legend, as some might call him. And we're doing something different today. We're doing a video interview. I'm extremely excited just because with everything DrDoge does, I wanted to be able to show what he's doing, especially inside VR and inside of the metaverse. And I wanted to be able to give you all a visual showing of what he does instead of just audio with the regular podcast. So, yeah, I guess without further ado, we might as well just go ahead and start. Dr. Doge, do you mind to kind of give yourself a basic introduction of who you are, what you do, maybe a little story about yourself, and if you don't mind, just what should I call you? Should it be Dr. Doge or
Yeah, you can call me Dr. Doge. Yeah, I'm definitely
awesome?
yo, thanks, Michael, like for having me here on the show. This is awesome. And anytime I get the opportunity to kind of show what's going on, like this kind of stuff, I'm always down for it. I guess yeah, man, just a little base introduction. I'm Dr. Doge. Dottie, a lot of people know me. I've been around, I guess, in this space, crypto, give or take a little over 2 years. NFTs about the same time, kind of got into them hand in hand. But pretty much, I do VR stuff, man. Cool, building worlds, putting them together inside of VR, making digital twins of like if someone has a Decentraland build, like Crypto Nova, we brought that inside of here. Just pretty much your go-to when it comes to VR. I'm experimenting. That's what I like to do, man. Just going on from there, and that's what I've been doing for I'm a DJing for a little bit. Just part of that
That's
game
sick.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What is
definitely.
DJing like? Like, how was it? Like,
It's
especially with like the New Year's parties and stuff. Like, what did you do for that? Did you DJ?
Oh, so we didn't know they had like actually like lots of other. I'm not even like a DJ like anything like that. I was just saying DJing and like with the I'm a DJs, the voids, the aliens. But no, we do have some guys that's in there that do DJ work, and they had a bunch of live shows that were here. Now that's insane. Even I say like it not doing DJ work, but we have tables that could pull out. You could do pretty much all of that on the go, but it's a thrill, man. It's insane inside of here. Once you get, I don't want to say, how can I put it? It's like experience because it's all spatialized. Like everything's the 360 audio. You have the
Yeah.
lights, you have everything. It's pretty much not to say no different than being at a real thing, except you're not at the real thing. You got it all. It's just there within the headset. But once you spend time in the VR, it starts to become where it's like sometimes it can blend. You might have to, oh wait, peek out the side and like, oh yeah, I'm still in the real world. But
Yeah.
yeah,
No, especially like VR is continuing to grow as well as the metaverse. So it's just becoming something like people are so immersed in you could say like quote
yes,
unquote like fake worlds or worlds that have
yes,
been
yeah.
created. It's kind of cool to see like how much that VR has become like a part of like regular life or even just like video games and stuff. It's
Mhm.
super cool.
Yeah, there's
But
like, and it's lots of stuff. Like you could look at it like that, whether it's the tools, whether it's game, because it is. There's people that come in here strictly to make tools just for other stuff to help make people's lives easier. Whether it's bringing avatars, and you got one literally porting games in. So definitely, yeah, you hit that on the nail.
yeah,
Yeah,
and especially like another reason why I was so excited to have you on the podcast is just because I wanted to hear about like your obviously role with I'm a DJ and stuff like that, but also want to learn more about just like you personally and a lot of or you like we mentioned earlier like off the pod we talked about like that you were a veteran. Can you kind of talk about a little bit about that, especially like your past before you hopped so deep into
oh,
the metaverse
definitely.
and stuff?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So for sure, yeah. Before I was even in this kind of metaverse stuff, like my real life back profession, whatever you call, I was in the army. I was an engineer, and pretty much joined up, and I was in that for a good better part of 6 to 7 years. And 2013 to 2014, did a tour to Afghanistan, and that was like I said, it was pretty eye opening, man. It's my time in the service really let me see the rest of the world. Not everybody got that chance. I know everybody's got different takes on military and this and that, but yeah, it was good times and it was bad times. Probably a lot more bad times than the good, but it was still an experience. And pretty much what I did there, just heavy equipment operating. And
Yeah.
about a year after that, came home, got diagnosed with the testicular cancer, and that kind of shut that out the water and ended that career. But yes, I mean that opened up a whole new door to all of this stuff. A new
Yeah.
world I never would have imagined even being into a few years ago.
What would you say like was some important things you learned from being a part of the army and like being a veteran? Like what do you think you learned from that?
Valuing what we have, like that's my biggest thing, man. To be honest, like one of the biggest things I gotten that was a I guess you say really stuck with me was just, some things we take for granted. Just even being here, something as simple as like a roll of toilet paper or a pack of chewing gum, right? You can go in and get that. I think the really first time that got to me and like really it hit. We were getting ready to go into a convoy and they had the locals that would like help us. They'd help us load down equipment and actually transport some of it. And dude, it was fucking freezing out. And a lot of the Afghanis, the locals, bro, they'll come up. They don't have like cold weather. They don't have no Carhartt jacket. They're out there in like little the robes and like flip flop stuff like that. Like still, basic scars, but like not stuff to sustain cold. And I'm like, bro, I'm looking at him in his hands and stuff. He's grabbing these cables and like they're getting cut up, dude. Like no gloves. I'm like, no, fuck that. Here, take these gloves, dude. He like looked at me and like, dude, we both like broke down in tears because he's like, dude, are you serious? Like, no, I cannot take that. Like he didn't want to take it. And like once he ran, I was like, no, bro, like it's like definitely you need these. Like he was beyond grateful just for that. Like, and it was kind of in that moment I'm like, yo, no matter whatever I got going on, there's people way out here worse. You just pass through, you see some of this stuff going through, and it's like, yeah, take everything, don't take life for granted by far. Yeah. We've got it made even in the worst of times here. That's a fact. So
Yeah, I think
yeah.
that's a super important thing to live by, especially with like what we're doing right now is we're having a
Yeah.
conversation online, like using technology that like
Yep.
some people in this world are still like are
Yep.
couldn't even imagine being able to like afford being like
Mhm.
having an online conversation just because all the technology we're using and stuff like that. So yeah, being able to understand what we have, especially in a first world country, is it kind of it makes you take a step back and be like, wow, like we are lucky, even though some days might suck. If that makes sense.
It does, like, and that's probably my biggest and one of the most valuable, like, I've learned from that, just experience and I say a lot of it, but a good portion of it. And it's like even in the countries that aren't as like the third world, even some of the way the modern ones are, just the way that they view Americans, you know, it's like completely different than what they say on the news or the TV and how they look. Some places you look down, they're like, huh? What are you doing in like, and it's like they won't, but they're stuck up about it. And then you'll have ones that are like, yeah, come to my house. Like, you want lunch? Like, what's up? Let's get some drink. And it's like, that's a positive too. Just seeing different cultures, just meeting different people, seeing how the whole rest of the 8 billion people, or at least a fraction of them, live besides just what's here. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Mhm.
It really makes you think, and it really makes you
Yeah.
appreciate everything, but, especially with, like, stuff you've gone through with maybe the being in the military and stuff, like, especially with your personal life, like, how has your battle with testicular cancer been? Like, is that hard? And, like, how's been going through that? And maybe a better question would be, like, has you immersing yourself into this Web3 world, like, helped you with that?
Oh, dude, yeah, like most definitely. So when I was first diagnosed, like I said, about a year after coming back, I fought with that for a good 2 years, man. Every other day, getting through, sitting in there doing chemo, coming back, getting pumped in, and then pretty much when I was cured and they gave that all clear around the end of 2017, like it was. I don't want to say it's like living on edge, but there's always that thought, like, okay, is it gonna come back? And it's like trying to get back and eating healthy and not even just doing that, but like continuously keeping on that track. Like, all right, maybe I should stop drinking 2 or 3 Cokes a day, drink more water, probably shouldn't have that shot. Maybe I should stop just things like that. It does. So like that now it's clear. I've still been good. I haven't had no health issues here in a few years now. So I mean thank God. Like I'm positive and blessed for that. But it has been like it's definitely coming into here on those days where it's been stressed out, like where I get those panic attacks, and it's like I could put the headset on and like within a few minutes I might have the shakes and they're going. You know what I mean? Like just experiencing it. And then there's some days like I'll get in and I'm not even like I'll pop on the headset and that might sometimes like start one almost, I might get that little weak hands and it's just kind of, but overall, man, it's been positive. Like having this Web3, having the whole community in the space to just reach out to. There's a lot more people like with situations, you have people similar to like when I was in the service. Like now I have access and the means and there's this place and stuff that can reach out to everybody in the world again. You know what I mean? And that is a great thing. And I've loved about Web3 that when I first got into it, yeah, man, that pandemic hit, it was still kind of coming off of there, like just having been a good year into being cleared of cancer. And like, yeah, it was rough. So then just finding a whole new group of people like that bond over with, do all this stuff, have the same sharing memes, just screwing, you know what I mean? It's the spirit of it. And I loved it. It was hooked. I dived right in, especially in finding VR. Yeah. It's like a whole new aspect to it that many people just don't even realize is there.
Yeah, especially the community aspect you just talked about. I think that's why a lot of people have gotten into this world. It's just because like you scroll through, you could say like crypto or Web3
Yeah.
Twitter, and it just feels like there's always people talking. There's always people in Twitter spaces piled in,
Yep.
just having just basic conversation, just kind of being a part of something. That's why a lot of people even like maybe join NFT collections or be a part of them just because they want to be a part of a community. I mean, as humans, we're social creatures,
Yeah.
whether that be in person or online. We just want to be a part of something, and I think that's another reason why I'm kind of an advocate for Web3, just because it can bring people together. And if something is bringing people together, it's good, it's positive. Well, maybe some things maybe some
Yeah,
groups
fact.
might be not positive, but if people are coming together and it's for a positive reason, I fully support that. But talking about some communities, obviously you're a part of a lot of communities inside the Web3 world. Do you want to talk about maybe some of the communities you've been a part of and kind of how you got to join them?
Oh yeah, definitely. So for sure, for sure. Let's see. So basically, I mean, obviously, main one is I'm a DJ. The Voids, they're here. That's my main go-to. So really got me into the 3D side of the Web3, and I'd say like actual like as far as being into and a part of, I guess you'd say, not even holder. I'm a holder of the Dask as well. There's quite a few that's there, but man, to be honest, a lot of them it's like I don't know if you'd call it like honorary, but it's just like I managed to get in and like have connections just from like helping them test out models. Like some of the gang from Clonex. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Vega Genesis or not. If you've seen him around, like met him early on when the clones first dropped their models, and got some of them helped up and here figured out how to get them uploaded and just different things like that, like cyberkongs. We've got some of the board apes and some of the community members there. Spotty Wi-Fi, like we've done some work, and I've got his models in and still getting those optimized. And it's kind of like that's pretty much just how I've gotten in, not necessarily as being the holder, but just being able to help and reach out, offer assistance. Like, hey, y'all need help getting into the metaverse? Like, just reach out. We're here. And yeah, so a lot of them
Yeah.
have. Yep.
What type of like if like when you are talking to maybe a community or a perspective like a NFT collection and you're offering them your help, like what do they need help with? Like what's the most important what do they need help with pretty much when they talk to you?
Well, a lot of times it's actually just figuring out, okay, what's the first step to actually having that rigged model, right? Brought into a metaverse or VR setting, right? Because there is differences that comes in between just having a rigged model that you could pop out and bring into place and do renders with, and then it's a whole different thing to have one that goes like this, that moves. You can move the fingers when you're in VR to make it an actual avatar. So a lot of the times it's like that. Like if there's people you see stuff and they need help, like, hey, what's going on there? How does this supposed to be rigged up? Am I doing something wrong in this side? How can we actually make the collection getting to the point of not just being rigged, but being rigged, being able to be used as an avatar and stuff like that? And that's pretty much how I guess you'd say, I guess what I do. along
Yeah.
those lines. Or, besides that, just if they need a set or something built, anything like that, or a little commercial or just content made in general. Like that's what I do. I'll pop something and get their models in and pop it into here into VR and do whatever I need to go with. Like it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's in this platform in particular, it makes it easy to be able to do stuff like that just because it's all inside, like all of it's, so again, for anybody too that's watching, this is what, like when I'm looking now inside of here, like you see, I see this is me. Like I see this is how I'm able to talk to people and do all of that stuff. I have the Discord, I've got like my OBS capture and everything. There's that. I could go to any different links like Twitter if I needed to look through, like different things like that. And so pretty much it would just be a matter of like showing them how to bring in this if they needed a help. I give you an example. Check this out. This isn't for anybody in particular, but this is, there we go. This is just kind of an example of like if they need something done, if it's like setting up a scene, recording, I do this, import, and now I am importing a complete model of, I think this is the McDonald's. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. There we go.
Oh,
McDonald's
wow.
with a drive-through. And now I could just scale this thing up and then do texturing to it. And then within a matter of like 5 minutes, we'll have a McDonald's here. Like that's the kind of stuff that, makes it doable if people need that, even if
Yeah.
it's not just avatars, just, in general guidance, no different than like we're doing here. A lot of people have no clue that this stuff is even possible. They still think
Mhm.
that VR is like Horizon Worlds or, along those nature stuff that's like that. But it's, yeah, it's well advanced. Like, I mean, there's a whole and I could take even from inside of there, I could just take, and once it's all finished and like set up, you could go through, and this might seem advanced to some, but if you were in VR and you were just like, yo, I'm hungry, I want McDonald's from Uber Eats, I can have the screens in here to where it links out and you can just click from in VR and order your Uber Eats and
That would
and
be
connect
so
to it.
cool.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like
no, that
it's wild.
stuff like that has me not only blown away, but just then I'm just excited for what the future can bring, if that makes sense. So
Yes.
I think like
Yep.
a lot of people are similar to me or you, to where they're pro VR and they want to learn more about it, and they're not like anti metaverse. They just might not know
Yep.
that much, and they want to learn more. Can you kind of explain where or where you are right now and kind of what you're doing? Just like a basic
Yeah,
beginner's guide to what you're doing right now.
definitely. So for anybody that's not familiar or are familiar, if you do have VR headsets or the Oculus or anything, this is Neos VR. This is essentially a, it's both. It's a, you can definitely call it a metaverse. But you can also hop into here on a desktop or PC or laptop, or whether that's in a VR headset. And essentially it is a hybrid engine. If you're familiar with Unity or Blender, Unreal Engine, that's what this platform uses. So essentially, like my whole surroundings right now, where you're at, is a world that I put together completely in VR, just using assets, like whether that was from Sketchfab, the community, different people that's out there, and like, hey, test this, let's make something with this, and you just put it in here. You can create your whole entire world in this metaverse, like in this platform in general. Now, there's tons. There are a lot of them out there. You have, I'm familiar with your VR chat. You've got Somnium Space. You've got what else is it? A lot of the other ones, I guess, in Web3 that you're familiar with. The Sandbox, Decentraland. You've got Spatial. You've got, a lot of people are now considering On Cyber to be, it is a metaverse because now they're starting to allow avatars and stuff to come in. And each one of these places are unique. Not every metaverse, as they would call it, is going to be VR capable. You're going to have some that are strictly on desktop or web based, along that nature. But I'd say a good 80% of them that are out there now in these platforms are VR capable in some sense. Whether now that might not be as fully advanced as Neos, which is, I'd say, the closest one to here would probably be VR chat. And top two, even up there, and even top three, I'd say, and it's not even really competition because each one's is their own, like Somnium Space. It's another wild, you can pretty much build whatever you want, albeit you would need Unity. You need that outside source. You could still upload and bring things that you'd put in there, but a lot of people look at that and view it as more of the how could you say it? The financial or the metaverse, that's where the economy in the metaverse is, right? That's it, because they do a lot of stuff with businesses. They have the partnerships with like the Winklevoss or the Voss twins from the Gemini and stuff like this. They have their own token, the currency, Somnium Cubes, and it's doing pretty well. Like, albeit you can't just hop in there and whip out a card like this here, but they definitely have like the vehicles, and it stands out because it is a completely open world. When you load into it for the very first time, they have the parcels. So you would pretty much, whereas this one's free, you don't have to pay. You can come in here and make whatever you want for free. In Somnium Space, you can still roam around and partake, but if you wanted property, you would have to buy a parcel, similar to Sandbox or something like that. But a lot of people that have these parcels are actually like businesses, bro. You'd be surprised. Like IBM has parcels that, like, a lot of the places for advertising, because you can set up billboards and like they'll get revenue. So if, I guess what you'd say, like tracking different things like this that are on items, like the code that's lined, like if somebody interacts with that sign, or if they interact, or if they're looking at it, for long enough, or if they pass by it, the code says, okay, well, look, this is how much foot traffic or whatever comes by it. And that's what sets like that apart from this metaverse. They're all VR. There's a lot
Okay.
of them out there, but each one kind of has their own unique way they're run, right? Like one might be more of a economic hub. Then you've got one that's like Decentraland. There's tons and tons and tons of events always happening inside of Decentraland. Lots of people, when it comes to wearables, they got that different thing. Same difference, no different than like spatial. More of like a meeting place, kind of a chill, laid back. You can still build stuff, but it's in a web browser. It's doing stuff like that, so it's still not capable of all that. But I guess if anybody was getting into this, definitely dive into something. If something looks nice to you, check them out. Like, not everybody's gonna like everyone or be able, to run them all. So just definitely a good advice. Like, try them out at least once. Yeah, see what you like. There's tons of tutorials out there. Just if you've got no clues, even in like if y'all have me and followed on Twitter, if y'all know me, reach out and I'll gladly I'll help out too. We got a lot of people that will. Yeah, it's wild times. I definitely suggest everybody dive into VR for at least a little bit. Like, even if it's just not even playing games, just whatever. The way you could do stuff with it, just whether it's meetings like this, coming in through, just using stuff, just browsing different things like that, whatever. You could use it for so many different reasons other than just like people get the idea, oh, it's just for gaming. Oh, you just go in there and do, and it's not. You know what I mean? There's so many uses for it. It's nuts.
Yeah, that just kind of goes back to the growth of VR too. Like, there's so many
Mm-hmm.
people that are testing it out. There's so many people that continue to just like see if they like it, because you're not gonna understand it. You can watch this podcast, you can listen to it, you can try to understand, but until you fully dive into VR, until you put that Oculus on,
Mm-hmm.
you won't fully get it. But it's definitely something. Just I mentioned it earlier in the podcast, or kind of at the beginning, but I think VR has an insane amount of growth potential, just because more and more people are using it, and there's so many things you can do.
Yep.
But we'll see. I think it's very exciting for the future of VR.
It
Like, I'm
is.
gonna I'm gonna be keeping my mind on it, or keep my
Yes.
eye on it. I think the audience should as well, just because
Yep.
it's something that it can go anywhere. It
Yeah,
can
it
kind of
is.
be
Like you said.
it, yeah, it can be put in our lives like with
Yep.
anything. Um,
Anything.
yeah, but
But
I
I had a couple.
do. yeah,
Mhm.
I do wanna know, like, what's your, like, opinion on the future of VR, the future of the metaverse, the future of, like, fake worlds, like I mentioned earlier, like, how do you feel about that?
I mean, I guess it's some people might think I'm biased or whatever, based, however, because I've been here for so long. But no, I do. I guess I could describe this as this is a good question because there's so many people that are on the fence of AR is going to take over VR, right? It's going to be more of a use case for AR than a VR. And I mean, I don't short term, I can very much see that just because of simply hardware alone, right? Not even nothing to do with software and how that goes, but I see it playing a big part in literally being everybody eventually is going to have a VR headset in their household, that in some kind of an AR device, right? Now, that's not to say that it's going to be more or less, useful or coming into play in the future than AR is, but this is how I look at it. You can now even take scans of your whole entire house and put it inside of here, right? Wherever that it's at. If you're needing a place to go, let's just say, I don't know, anything, testing, research, development, multiple people around the world, being able to bring in a digital twin of having anything and doing that within a headset like of this nature, it's different. It is different than putting on a set of AR glasses and seeing that in the world around you because it's still, digital copy. But I definitely see VR playing a major role, I guess not just in like regular everyday people, like, I guess consumer stuff, but more in bigger companies using it as tools for not just training, but actual like working. I mean,
Yeah.
we're looking at stuff like this, and I know this is probably a long shot. It's whatever. You see people already nowadays, they're controlling this is whatever fine lines of it, but you see them controlling drones, different things like this already through headsets in places around the world. We're getting into that, level of space travel where all right, we're sending shit across to the excuse my language, my bad, but we're sending stuff to the moon and it's unmanned, right? Now imagine when they're starting to send actual those manned ones, but with stuff that could be controlled through a headset, right? Instead of putting a man on the moon for the first time, send one of those Tesla bots and you could just fully control it through, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's things like that you could go through and do that's not necessarily capable of being done with augmented reality. I'm sure you could, but you won't have that same functionality as like this. And I mean, that's just like one aspect of definitely future side of it. But yeah, where we're going now, it's not a software issue. It's nothing. It's more of a hardware, like the chips, everything in.
Mhm.
Probably what's going to be stopping it for the next, like, I'd say a year or two for mass adoption,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
for like everybody. But
And especially with, like, mass adoption, it really comes down to making things simple,
yep,
and so you can, if when you make it simple, more and more people are able
yep,
to onboard, more and more people are able to test it out, and that's what a lot of people are doing in the Web3 world, like yourself. I recorded a podcast with him last week, Crypto Novo. They're really
yes.
helping you all are really helping onboard people, helping make things simple. Can you kind of talk about your relationship with Crypto Novo and how you've kind of worked to help onboard some people to this world?
Oh, dude, for sure. Yeah. So I've known Crypto Nova for a while now, like even from the early days of the Voids. I mean, he's one of the first like crypto punk that was really using his as IP. And oddly enough, like through VR, like that was where it was. He was also one of the first people that got his Voids into Somnium space. And from there, kind of, I did take over, I guess you'd say, and branched off into the VR side more. He went and, with the VaynerMedia, he's got all that. And it's pretty much, I'd say about 4 or 5 back in July, yeah. Um, of this year again too, we kind of linked back up and started. He was diving more into it. We started with the show. He was seeing kind of what was possible, and from there, yeah, it was like you said, just getting him onboarded, walking him through the setup of. He had a VR headset, but never really, used it. He'd seen what was possible, and man, it was really just a matter of one night we got off the show, and he was like, "All right, I think I'm gonna hop in. All right, now I've seen enough, like just what's going on." And I walked him through it. Like, all right, here's what you need. Just download the Oculus, the software for here, the client. Just once you've got the headset connected, it's pretty much just as simple as just downloading Neos or whatever else you got, and it's, hop it on in. And I mean, throughout the show when we'd never like on Wednesday nights when we'd have it, pretty much we'd have live skits and we'd have segments where we would come through and we'd be pumped out live to everybody and we would do those like live onboarding. So if we'd have people that would come in, they'd have people from groups or whatever, it might be their first time in VR, and we'd do it live right there on the show. Like they'd pop in on desktop and then go from being on desktop to being into VR like in a matter of like moments, and it was kind of that was a good thing because his platform and everybody knew him too at the time. I'm still not even relatively known, but it was a good, I guess, method of being able to get new people's eyes on and see how it goes. And I mean, like I said, yeah, Novo, man, he's a great person. Nothing but love and respect for him because it's been helpful beyond imagine, just teaching things that I'd had no clue about, especially when it comes to like doing live shows, stuff like I'd streamed before, but never in a setting such as like that. You know what I mean? We had actual down to like the scripts, the shows, what was going on. It was a full show, like Saturday Night Live style thing we still go through doing. So I mean that was a huge plus, and I guess one way we would onboard people, just from our side
Yeah.
of it. Yep.
It always it's very fun to like collaborate with people in this space, especially like you
Yes.
working with Crypto Novo, especially if there's a common goal with
Yep.
helping on more people, helping have a great show. It's just fun. Like this past summer, I worked with a plethora of people in the space to help promote not only what they're doing, but just help people understand what's going on. And it's a great feeling to help people not be confused anymore, if that makes sense.
Yes. No,
Yeah, but
definitely.
yeah, I kind of want to, uh, yeah, shout out Crypto Novo, great
Shout
dude.
out
He's
Novo.
really he. Not only was he able to come on this podcast, but he's done a plethora of content to help push the message of Web3 and everything. But
Yes, he has.
I can't wait to see what he does in the future and what
Oh
he
yeah.
eventually turns into. But talking about the future, what does the future look like for you? What does the future look like for Dr. Doge? What are you trying to accomplish, maybe in the near or far out future?
Definitely, like I said, near term is definitely I mean, it's always everything. Finding this here, it's like now that I've got going, if you would say as much, um, finding more people to work with. Getting definitely. There's a lot of people, like you just said, in the space nowadays that's starting to see what's capable of being here in VR, and like now with this here year, I definitely just want to have some kind of a platform, some way to just onboard as many of these people as possible. I guess definitely finding a good way of making like stable income too for it, like whether that's having some kind of not even a project, a business, however you'd want to look at it. I've never been necessarily the kind that's like, oh, here, just pay me to do this. You know what I mean? But it's like that probably short term getting and helping a couple of these bigger projects. I guess I've got my eyes on here. I'm seeing them coming in, but ultimately, man, to be honest, I'm wanting to shoot a movie this year, like some kind of a
Ooh,
VR, like a virtual, kind of thing along those lines. And I've done some things in the past, not like full on movies, but we've done little shorts and different clips. But we've done enough commercials for people and things like that I think, yeah, reaching out to some people in the community and seeing if they'd be on board and just something like that. Maybe a virtual reality short, like kind of related to the crypto space, something along those natures, but from VR. I mean, there's so many projects that are capable of being in this kind of setting that, yeah, I think it would be kind of cool. So that's kind of a longer term goal, but yeah, definitely, man. I'm just gonna keep doing what we've been doing here and going about at it because it's been, even though the year ended, it's still been going. Like the last few months has picked
yeah.
up and like it. So I'm not gonna drop off where that as. It's kind of keeping on with those goals that I had there, and we're getting close. Yeah, we're getting close. But
No, I'm extremely excited to see what the future has, not only for you, but kind
so
of the whole Web3 community, like as a whole. It's very cool to see. It's very cool to think about like what can happen. But like before we do head out here, I think not only would I be interested, but the audience would be interested in kind of your world that's around you. Do you mind to kind of give a
Yeah.
little tour of kind of what's around you before we head out here?
Yeah. Dude, definitely, yeah, so perfect. So this is actually, and thanks for, like, letting me show this too. This is, let me see here where we at. Alright, perfect. Switch my cameras. So yeah, so basically, this is one of my first worlds, and this is my home world. So when I load into Neos, this is where I load into. Um, I kind of had it like as a little snow resort playing around. Oh, that's the TARDIS that I added. It's an actual working, fully functional, multi-dimensional box. But yeah, essentially just added this. You could put it in here. You can go in. It's like a whole new little dimension.
Oh, wow.
Uh, and that's just inside of that box. Like everything that you just saw is inside of this box. It's kind of like a
Wow.
crazy, yeah, mini world
Like a
inside of a
wild
world.
optical illusion.
Yep, yep. Just like it's like the real TARDIS from Doctor Who. So pretty much a little time travel machine, little spaceship. But so yeah, there's my dragon, which I didn't make, by the way. It's just my dragon. It guards it. Oh, I forgot to lock that mountain. But yeah, just like you seen that, like the mountains in the background, right? Everything here, because I was still setting it up. I could just take it. I could scale it. You could do whatever you'd like to it. Build it, move them around, have it snapped,
Oh, wow.
going through. Yep. Same with this guy. You can go through, put them, scale them however you want. And then it gets even better. Like you've got this is just a car, put some of the voids on. I was testing and it drives, it's workable. Everything in here is, like I said, you can just hop in, close the door, it drive.
That's
Yep.
sick.
You can go through the drive-through if you wanted to. And then inside, yeah, like a lot of this stuff here, like that you'd see, like this building. This was just like grayed out a basic sketch fab model, and I come in and did textures and added all the other stuff to it. Let me see here. Post this right there. We go. All right, that's why it's kind of bright. All right, now pretty much, yeah, like all this. This is just models. So even though that guy's right there and he's like, he's me, he's blinking. That's an avatar, but I'm also right here. And that also
Mm.
guy right there is that, but he's animated. Basically, they're just like in a state of like animated suspension. And now I can hop to them back and forth at will, just clicking on it. Or I could go
Oh,
between
wow.
in different things. So, like how this guy here is animated. He's sitting there just using pretty much the motion capture tool just to do a little bit of that. But I could still hop inside of him and be usable, no different than this. And like the mouth moves, everything works, eyes, no different than that, and just hop back. But when it comes to content creation and doing things along that nature, shooting clips, shooting film, shooting anything, right? Just pictures in general, I could just come into here, set up anything that needed to be set up, and then it's good to go. Kind of up here is where I have security cams all over the place that work. I could switch between the camera anchors, but this is like a little, if I'm doing gaming or streaming or anything like that. So I'll just come in here and pop down in the chair, and then now I could sit here. I could do whatever I need to do. I can move this thing and just use my big main actual like how I am here right now with this, and I could just have
Oh,
this
wow.
screen up here. So yeah, so pretty much like if I'm here and I'm sitting there, it's like that, and then just going back, and then so yeah, kind of along those lines, but so much that could be done. And this is just like one random of those worlds. And I have, let me see here. Worlds, my worlds. I've got quite a few here. So these are just like some that I was working on. Uh, this one here, the Moon Club. I built this one a couple of days ago, and it is quick too. You can go straight to them, especially once they're up, and like it'll focus through. And there we go. All right, loaded. All right, now this is a whole completely different world than what was just that. And same thing, completely put together in here. inside of VR. Let me see. There we go. Floating. Perfect. Yeah. Like even
Wow.
to these here, like fireworks that you could do this.
Those could have been helpful for New Year's.
Oh, it was. This is where we did some shows. I kind
That's
of
sick.
hand blurs, but yeah, up there, up at the very top, I've got that ring that's kind of just shooting, and they're shooting off fireworks as well. That's up there. But basically, yeah, you'd mentioned like the DJ stuff. So yeah, this is like a waterfall ramp I built the other day for it, just to come into it. But this is the whole Nexus Club. There's Vega. Is one I was talking about earlier. That's also one of the Clone X, and I've got one of the Clone X models over here. He's motion cap too, but this is on the DJ table. And so everything that's inside of here that you can see, I've got that video actually coming, and that's what's playing up there. And I could pretty much just take that texture and put it anywhere, to be honest. Like it could go on anything I'd wanted it to. Any texture for that matter could go there. And like that's just another reason I'd say like I don't know, man, I love this place. Just the things that you can do compared to any other VR setting, any other metaverse setting, it's just as easy as like popping that. Let me see. Now I can put it on the cup. I got to do some scaling, but yeah, you see, even and then see, put it up on the video on there, on everything. The bar, did I save it? No, I didn't save it. There we go. But yep, this is
That's
so
so
much,
cool.
so much could
I
be
think
done.
it's just it's very cool just to see what people have created. Like, just people's creativity is allowed to go crazy, and anything can be done.
Literally anything. Yes, like you just said, anything that you could imagine can be done, brought in, placed into here. It's like it's just look at some grass. Like this is a whole right here. Let's go through here. Put this. Do a little bit of that, and then now I could come to here, and like it's grass. I mean, you could set it wherever you want. Anything you need,
You just
put it up
put
on top.
grass
Yeah,
anywhere for no reason.
for no reason. And there's like a whole. I mean, you see it. Just this one little tool alone has all of this inside of it. So you could change whether it was from that grass to plants to anything, change the sides of it. I mean, you don't need any external software or programs like Unity. You could still use that. You could create things in Unity and do that and put it inside of here and too, but you don't need it. You know,
Hmm.
it's not, yeah. So that's a huge, huge, huge plus. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think just seeing that it can be a big kind of advertisement for, hey, go check it out. Go check out VR. It's
Yep.
you can create anything. Just have some fun. Be creative. You never know. You might create the next quote unquote Facebook of VR, the next
Yeah.
world that everyone's gonna want to hang out in. It's cool to see where the future can take you. Just do anything you want. Just do what you want. Have some fun with it. You never know what can happen. That's kind of the words I live by, and I think everyone could have a little creativity and fun in their life.
Oh, they can. They could definitely have a little bit of creativity, and it's anybody can do it. Don't matter how old you are. Don't literally you could be 80 years old doing this. Literally, because we've seen some people up there, 70s and 80s. Isaac Gindi from Somnium Space. He's the ISG part. He's like 75, 70 something, and he's in there full body tracking, doing VR stuff, runs a whole company in VR. Yeah, like
Wow.
it's nuts.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely.
That's so
So,
cool.
but dude, yeah, this is awesome. Dude, thanks for having me too, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no problem. I was just about to say, like, DrDoge, I appreciate you coming on and taking time to show me and show the audience just a little bit more about VR, because I think I think it's important to continue the kind of expression of what VR is and the people that are inside VR, just to show that, hey, like it's not just something that people go to disappear and just put on a headset and just
Yep.
kind of disappear from the real world. Real stuff's going on. People are having fun. Communities are building from stuff like this, and it's cool to see, and it's gonna be crazy to see how it grows. So, but before we
Oh
do
yeah.
head out here, is if people in the audience want to continue to follow you and continue to watch what you're doing in this space,
Oh,
where
yeah.
can they do that, and how can they find you?
You definitely. So pretty much on Twitter. Twitter is the biggest place I'm basically at. And you can at squarebush91, or if you just typed in DrDoge.eth, I'll come up there as well if I'm not shadow banned. I know a lot of people might be, but yeah. So and whether that's in Neos, like if you're in the metaverse, most all platforms, I'm DrDoge.eth across the board. So whether that's inside of Neos, via VR chat, Somnium, all over. Decentraland, yep. Pretty much just, yeah, DrDoge.eth. And you should be
Awesome.
able to find me. Yes.
Awesome. I'll
Awesome.
also have the links to all that in the description for
Yes,
easy
sir.
finding. But if you're watching this on YouTube or on Spotify, wherever the video is posted, I'll give you a little wave. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. If you're watching on Spotify or you're listening on Spotify, please feel free to give the podcast 5 stars. It's very important to help us grow here. Just because we're a smaller podcast, Web3 Weekly, when it gets that 5 star rating, it helps Spotify and all the other listening platforms know, hey, it might be small, but people are enjoying it. People are getting information out. And feel free to tell your friends about it. Feel free to follow us on our social medias. It's at Web3 Weekly on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, pretty much any social media. It's Web3 Weekly Pod. And feel free to send me a message if you have any more guests that would like to come on you think would be smart. Even if you're listening to this right now and you want to come on, feel free to send me a message, and and I swear I will respond. I'm always on social media, so you'll definitely get a response from me. So, Dr. Doge, thank you again. It means the world for you to come on and kind of create some content with me today. So, yeah, I think we're gonna head out here. Thanks for everyone that's watching,
Thank you.
and have a great rest of your day. See you guys.
Yo, much love, brother. Thank you. Thank you.